guys. How's things? Cheers, guys. Thanks so much for coming to my show. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking the time to come to my show, because this is my job, and it's a bit of a weird job in that it's a job that I can't do if you guys don't turn up. I could turn up to do my job, and if you're not here, I can't do my work. It's kind of like the original 0 hours contract in that regard. But probably slightly funnier than most 0 hours job, let's be honest. But yeah, this main sort of thing of the show is about a time when I was unemployed, when I didn't really have a job. Has anyone here ever been unemployed by any chance? You sound far too happy about it, but that's good. Woo, who needs work? You, sorry, when were you unemployed? Yeah, how long were you unemployed for? 3 years, I win, mate. It's always good to win the unemployment top trumps early on. Because yeah, basically, it's good to be doing this, because this is the one job I always wanted to do. It's my dream job. I always wanted to do comedy, I always wanted to write comedy, I always wanted to perform comedy. So it's really cool to be doing this job. Like, I wanted to do it since I was about 12. So I can remember when I was at school speaking to the careers advisor, and whenever they would say, "So, what do you want to be when you leave school?" I would immediately say, "I don't know," because a 12-year-old comedian is a pretentious little shit. Sorry if any of you snuck in. But yeah, so it's really cool to be doing this, especially because when I left school, I really struggled to find work. I left school in 2010, which was just after the recession, which apparently that was my fault, the recession. I don't really know how. Like, I was just playing Grand Theft Auto when I was 16. I didn't think that was causing real-world problems, but so it was hard for me to find a job. It's really difficult when you realise that the piece of paper your A-levels is on is worth less than your Pokemon cards. Even now, I'd happily trade my maths A-level for a Charizard if anyone wants to. Anyone fancies doing that trade later, just let me know, we'll do it, we'll sort it out. But yeah, I was unemployed for quite a long time, about 3 years on and off. And so I had to go to this place called the Job Centre Plus. Now, I don't really know what the plus stands for. Presumably, judgment and sadness. Yeah, I don't know anyone who here has signed on, but if you have, you'll know it's never a fun experience. No one ever feels good about signing on. It's not a good thing to do. Because when you go there, basically, you get this person who's your personal advisor, and it's their job to be the one-to-one helper to help you get a job, to help you find your dream job, to find the one thing you've always wanted to do. But my personal advisor, the first job they advised me to apply for was to be a makeup assistant at Boots. Because this is what you want, designing your makeup. Not only that, but it was me at 18, so it was literally like a spotty 18-year-old who was scared of looking at girls. I would just have to be like, "Yes, mate, I'm sure your makeup's absolutely fine. I'm sure you're great." So I'm going to say thank you. This is taking a weird turn, okay. I mean, don't feel like you have to join in the whole show, I'll be honest. This will take a long time. But also, it wasn't a very personal experience, because I'd been going there about 6 months, and my advisor still didn't know my name. I'd be going there 6 months, seeing this woman every single Monday, and my name's Tom Mayhew, it's right there. Occasionally people misread that as Tom Matthew. So I'd be going there 6 months, and she looked at me, looked at the paper and went, "Matthew? Matthew? Matthew?" And I was like, "Mate, it doesn't matter how much louder you say it, it's still not my name." I remembered her name was Carol. I remember that because that's what a human being should do. And Carol, I mean, I don't want to shit on all Job Centre employees. There's lots of really good people who work at Job Centre, who do work really hard, who do their best and do actually try hard and want to help you. But there's also a lot of Carols. Carol was a woman I once went to sign on, and she was drinking from a mug, and on the mug it said, "Work to live, live to shop." Which one are serving people who A, don't have work, and B, they can't afford to shop. It's kind of taking the piss, mate, isn't it? It's a bit like if you turn up to the doctor and he had a t-shirt that said, "Don't worry, I'm fine." generally, I think a lot of times, if you have somebody, they're quite condescending. I don't think they treat people as humans. I think that's summed up by the fact that when you go to sign on, they never ask you, how are you? How was your day? They immediately just ask you, how was your job search going? Which is a fucking stupid question when you just churn up to the job centre. I'm like, Carol, every single Monday, how was your job search going? Oh yeah, it's going great, Carol. Just turn up because we have such a close bond. I just feel she really gets me, And obviously, the main thing people talk about when you sign is you don't have much money. I was living off about 50 quid a week for about 3 years, which is not much money, 50 quid a week. It can buy you about, 2 drinks in London. Apart from at the Soho Theatre, where it's all reasonably priced. Just somebody say something about a pint of water. I guess I can't say it's reasonably priced, but I am drinking water, but it's fine. But yes, a lot of things I didn't really... Genuine fact though, speaking about money, but the cost of a Freddo bar has actually risen quicker than the rate of inflation on wages over the last 30 years. So we'd all be better off if we're paid in chocolate frogs. Just something to think about. But yeah, I never really liked sign-on, I never really felt... You don't feel good about yourself when you sign on, and there's loads of problems with sign-on. One thing is the idea of sanctions. Now, before I signed on, I was like, okay, a sanction is basically, if you break the rules, they give you a sanction, they take your benefits away. I thought I'd be fine. I was like, well, I never had detention at school, I was always a good kid, I was always on time for things, I'm not an idiot, I got A levels, I worked hard, so surely I won't get in trouble. But I did, because they're wankers. Basically, I dropped out of uni at one point, and I said to them, if I send you a letter from my uni, does that prove I've dropped out of uni? They said, that's fine. I sent the letter, they replied to the letter going, that's fine. Then 2 weeks later said, you sent us the wrong proof, so we're going to stop your benefits for 8 weeks. I literally did exactly what you told me to do. And I can remember being on the phone to the bloke sort of going, what am I supposed to do without money for 8 weeks? To which he just went, yeah, well, it takes 8 weeks. Which, I can't run out of Tesco with a sandwich and go, yeah, well, I'll pay you in 8 weeks, mate. And maybe you're thinking, well, the appeals process, it does take 8 weeks. It does take 8 weeks to go through the system. It's just how long it takes to go through the system. Maybe that's how long these things take. It's not, because I got my benefits within 2 weeks by writing to my local MP. Shout out Tory MP David Gork. It's a bit of a mindfuck when a Tory helps you get your benefits. I've not been that confused about an MP since Tony Blair was named Middle East Peace Envoy. Genuinely, yesterday apparently someone messaged me after the show yesterday and they were like, we really enjoyed the show, and even my they said, even my Tory Brexit voting friend enjoyed the show because she fancied you because she thought you looked like Alan Davis. Whichever way you voted, no one voted for that. That must be against some sort of electoral law, surely. But yeah, I didn't really, I didn't really mind never really having much money, because I never really had much money growing up. I grew up very working class. Any working class people in?
Yeah.
Wow, that was a proper yes I am, mate, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Who said that over there?
Me.
You, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm glad I'll see you later.
It's not that kind of show, mate. I'm fucking terrified now. Any less scary working class? No, thanks for coming, I appreciate it.
Yeah, yes.
So yeah, growing up, we never really had much. We never had nice clothes, Sky TV, self-esteem. Because I think there is a correlation between your confidence growing up and sort of how much money you have. Because I always had bad confidence because I couldn't afford to go on school trips and I didn't have the nice clothes or anything. And that's also why someone like Boris Johnson is such a pompous little twat. But yeah, I always felt quite lucky though, because I always knew well, firstly I'll say, I know there's not many working class comedians. There aren't many of us, because people never believe you are working class when you are a comedian. I've had it after gigs where someone said to me, Tom, I didn't think you were working class because you seem quite intelligent, quite educated. And it's like, mate, working class people can be intelligent and educated and interesting. Like, have you not seen Top Cat? If you've not seen Top Cat, basically, think your favourite cat. He's above that one. And then in Top Cat, right, there's this policeman called Officer Dibble. He spends his entire life trying to arrest cats. How the fuck has he got that job? I don't really know. I remember watching it when I was signing on, thinking, like, this guy's taking the piss, mate. But yeah, you know, we never really had much money growing up. But I always knew we had it better than like my parents had it, so I always felt very, very grateful for what we did have. Because my dad had a really sort of rough childhood. He was one of 7. His dad was an alcoholic. His mum walked up when he was 3, so he was in foster care from the ages of 4 to 8. He had a really sort of tough childhood. And the one thing he always said to me growing up was, the one thing I want for my kids is to give you a better life than what I had growing up. Which I think that's beautiful. I think it's what most parents do want for their kids. Like, basically, if you're a Charmander, you want your kid to be a Charmeleon. Don't worry, that is all the Pokemon jokes out of the way. Congrats, you've already caught them all. Yeah, you know, my dad, he's one story my dad tells quite a lot, and I think it is a good story. It kind of sums up his childhood. It's when he got his first job when he was 12. They had no food in the house when he got his first paycheck. So him and one of his older brothers, they went to the local corner shop. They bought 48 Weetabix, 4 pints of milk, and just sat and ate it all in one sitting. And it was a proud moment when I'm like, shit, Dad invented man versus food. Like, if he had YouTube in the 60s, he'd be a viral star. Just so you know. Man eats a whole box of Weetabix. And my dad, I think he's one of my main inspirations for doing comedy, because he's always so good with people growing up. That I was a very sort of shy, awkward kid growing up, but he was always so confident. He always made people laugh. He was always a very friendly kind of guy. Like, I can remember when my cousins would come round, and basically he'd sort of be walking around the house like that, with like 3 cousins on each arm. Sort of the attitude that's like, oh, I can't afford to take you to a theme park, so I will become the theme park. Kind of attitude. So yeah, he's kind of, you know, I love my dad to bits. But I know, like, I always knew my parents didn't do exciting jobs. Like, my mum just worked at Boots for 40 years. My dad just sort of worked, doing typical manly jobs, like driving a lorry, picking up beer barrels, burping, those sort of jobs. But they always did, you know, whatever they could to try and help us. They always tried to do their best to give us a really good upbringing. And one way they did this was through a thing called, what's it called? Christianity. Any Christians in? Possibly the least Christian noise I've ever heard. Way, Jesus, mate. I said to you at church, like, today we're going to read John 5. Way! John 5, John 5. I fucking love this one, mate. It's my favourite. But I don't mind people being religious. I'm perfectly cool with it. Like, I think life's very difficult, so whatever you believe in to get you through, that's perfectly cool. You do you. But I just wish my parents would talk to me about it a lot less. Like, you know, the other day, my mum genuinely said grace before we had a ready meal. I was like, Mum, God's got nothing to do with this. In fact, that ready meal is surely proof that God doesn't exist. And my mum, she's like, I did quite well in a comedy competition a couple of years ago. I got to like the final 10 at the semi-final of this thing on the BBC radio. So I was really proud of myself. I was like, shit, Tom, you've actually achieved something. And when Mum picked me up from the station, she said, Tom, we're so proud of you. You've done so well. We're so proud of how far you've come. Just, I prayed to God and He's come through. I was like, nah, mate, He didn't write any of this. You know, I'm not putting down Jesus Christ as the co-writer of my material. It's not happening. Because if that were the case, if you could pray and that would define who does well in comedy competitions, then surely everyone who beat me to that final would be those hilarious Christian comedians. You know, doing material that's a bit like, don't you hate it when you go to church and they've run out of bread? Right, guys. Really fancied a wine sandwich that day. And my parents listened to a lot of like really shit, like religious music. Now there is good religious music. I'm a big fan of Stormzy and he's a Christian. I was tempted to buy my mum a copy of Gang Signs and Prayer and be like, Mum, you like half of this. And your name's Gillian, you're basically a G. But they listen to like sort of really crap religious music. Like one of them, a guy sings for a whole 3 minutes, I love you Jesus, I love you Jesus, I love you Jesus. And he's had 2,000 years to write that song. Me said it as a joke, some of you saw it, some of you laughed anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for accepting my flaws, it's what God would have wanted. Made a place there, and that was his very subtle punishment. Don't mock my music, I'll punish you, I'll make you say a word. Fuck off, man. Sorry, just in case. Yeah, I think a lot of Christians in the media aren't actually, it tends to seem, a lot of prominent people who are Christian in the media don't actually seem to be very good people. You know, when you look at the fact that someone like David Cameron said he was a Christian, Theresa May said she was a Christian, Jacob Rees-Mogg says he's a Christian. I didn't know so many of you had an allergy, but that's fine. Monk. Well, good, I'm glad you're not on board, otherwise this could have gone very wrong. And it's weird that someone like that says they're a Christian, when I'm like, mate, you're a multi-millionaire who let people starve. Like, that's not very Christian, mate, you know. I'm quite sure there is a line in the Bible where Jesus says, all rich people are cunts. Paraphrasing slightly there. Like, as a feminist, I wouldn't punch Jacob Rees-Mogg because I think a woman should get the first hit. Yeah, it did kind of make it quite difficult for me growing up as a Christian because like, in my life I've dated people of different genders. Like, I don't really mind what someone is as long as you're not a fan of Paddy McGuinness. Occasionally people say things like, Tom, does that mean you like having threesomes? It's like, no, not really. Like, I can't imagine much worse than taking all my clothes off and having two people go, oh, that's a shame. It's not my idea of fun, I'll be honest. But they did make it difficult for me, because I can remember talking to my pastor at church, saying to him, like, when I was 10, before I knew about anything about sexuality, just out of curiosity, because I was like, well, surely the most important thing is that you're a good person. So I said to him, okay, if someone's a homosexual and they're a good person, do they still go to hell, even if they're like a brilliant, wonderful human? And he said, yes, anyone who's homosexual, they'll go and they burn in hell because it's against God. And so that fucked me up when I was about 14. I'd find a girl attractive, I'd think, okay, that's normal. I'd find a guy attractive, I'd think, this is the devil possessing me or some bullshit like that. And it all changed when I was about 16, partly because I was like, no, that's bullshit, but also because my pastor actually left his wife for a man. Are you his ex-wife? What's going on? I mean, clearly he just prefers the hot weather, I thought, you know. But it's weird though, because I've always kind of felt like I'm in two sort of groups where, you know, it's hard to believe in yourself. One is being queer, and another is growing up poor. And I think like it was much harder for me to accept growing up working class. Like I was fine with my sexuality when I was 20, despite being raised Christian, but it took me till I was about 25 to accept that I was working class, because there's so much more of a stigma, kind of, well, it's not more of a stigma, but I think it's because when you are LGBT, there's all these big celebrations, people going like, be you, you're great, you're beautiful, you're wonderful, but you don't have that if you're working class. Like, there's no such thing as a poor pride. Presumably because we can't afford the parade. I don't know what it'd be, just like a little lads in tracksuits smoking. Perhaps headlined by Blazing Squad. People saying things like, what do we want? More money. When do we want it? In less than 6 weeks. That's a joke about universal credit. Presumably they named it that ironically, because you could travel the universe and not find someone who would take credit for that idea. But yeah, I wasn't unemployed forever. I did eventually get in a job. I got a job working in a supermarket, Sainsbury's. Oh, what a name dropper. So many nectar points, you wouldn't believe it. But yeah, it was all right working there, even though I never really felt like I really connected with their sort of capitalist beliefs. Partly because I said words like capitalist beliefs. But yeah, I never really connected with it. Like, you know, you're supposed to. I would occasionally, if I liked someone and they're buying a scratch card, and I liked them, I'd give them an extra one to be like, good luck, mate, hope you do well. Or if they're buying a copy of The Sun, I wouldn't scan it, because fuck Rupert Murdoch. Neither of those are part of company policy, I believe. But I was alright working there for I worked there for 3 years. I was alright working there for 2 years. I went off it in the last year, because basically, the last year I worked there was 2018. Where January of 2018 they said, we're going to make a lot of staff redundant because we can't afford your wages. They said to staff who have been working there for 20, 30, 40 years, we can't afford the wages we're paying you, so you have to either accept lower wages or we're going to make you redundant. And maybe people think, that's fine, every company has to cut back, every company has to cut costs, etc., etc. But then 6 months later, the CEO of Sainsbury's gives himself a bonus of 700 grand. Yeah. And you're like, it's just so greedy, it's just so selfish. Like, if only he worked for a company whose slogan was live well for less. If you don't know that's their slogan, then don't worry, fuck them. But I know it's not seen as a good job, because I can remember one time one of my old teachers came in, and I was like, oh, it's you, it's Mr. Bray, you used to teach me business studies. To which he turned to me and said, oh, did I? Oh, well, I didn't do a good job then, because you've ended up here.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, mate, you've insulted both of us with that sentence. It's literally gone, you know, I did a shit job and look what's happened. But I don't like that. I really hate that attitude there is that some people have, because that does come, I think, you know, people in school do teach it and people in society teach it. They teach you that there's good jobs and bad jobs. And I think it's very sneery, it's very down looking on people who do what are seen as the worst jobs. Because I think every job is a job, we all got to do jobs, and that's perfectly fine. Like, when my dad would come home from work growing up, he'd put his high vis behind a chair, he'd wipe the sweat off his brow, he'd drink his tea. I don't give a shit how much he earned in an hour, in a week, in a year. I was like, that man works fucking hard, so he's my hero. And I think everyone works hard, so you should be respected whatever job you do. Generally, I feel like poor people don't get enough respect. I also think we're blamed for too much. I think it's unfair to blame us for both the recession and Mrs. Brown's boys. So much damage we can do. And there's also that attitude people have when they say things like, oh, if someone's poor, it's because they're bad with money. It's like, no, mate, like, my mum's great with money. Like, if she buys something from a charity shop for £1, she'll keep the receipt in case she has to take it back later. Which does mean if she's doing that, she's going like, fuck you, donkey sanctuary. I'm one of these many millennials at the moment who still live with my parents. Any of my fellow friends like that in?
Yeah.
A few of you, the rest of you just judging, that's cool, that's cool. And it's fine, I don't, you know, it's not ideal, but it's kind of just seems to be the way for a lot of people from my generation, people under 30 or whatever. It's harder for us to get a house and all that bullshit. But I hate the attitude some people have when it's sort of like, oh, you millennials, you're so lucky, you've got it all, you're so lucky, you've got everything. You know, in my day, if I wanted to phone someone, I'd have to go to the phone booth with 20p and put it in and walk for 50 miles to get there. I would lose one of my lungs on the way there. Put it in, I'd phone them up, we'd only talk for 10 minutes, and then Churchill would swear at me. It was horrible. You kids are so lucky. You press the through numbers, boop, boop, you're talking to someone from Japan, and it's like, well, yeah, mate, we've got a lot of great technology, but it's like, oh, I can't afford to move out of my parents' house, but hey, at least I can play Candy Crush, like. I'd much rather something dependent. I'd rather move out. I'd rather something independent. Like, I'd love to be able to do my own things, to have my own house. I'd love to not see my dad's bum every day. To clarify, I don't try and see it. I've not got an amazing set of cameras from now. I'm not doing that. Just somehow, oh, there it is again. Okay. But yeah, there have been times in my life when I was quite depressed signing on. But again, that's the thing where people go, oh, what have you young people got to be depressed about? Like someone once said to me, what have you got to be depressed about because you're so young? And I'm like, mate, it's not an age limit on mental illness. It's not like, congrats, you're 30, now you can be schizophrenic. It's not really how it works, mate, I'll be honest. But yeah, like, generally, I don't like the attitude a lot of people have towards people without much money, especially homeless people. I think homeless people are really fucking horrible to them. Like when people say things like, oh, don't give homeless people money, they'll just spend it on drugs. That homeless person, they should go out and get a job. Because what they mean by that is that homeless person should go out, they should get a job, they should work their way up in that job, they should get their own house, and then they can buy their own drugs. It's never them saying homeless people can't have drugs, it's them going, I have to work hard for my drugs. You're a charity, giving them out, what's wrong with you? But yeah, it is sort of affect my confidence growing up with not much money. Like all through my life, people have said, Tom, mate, you should really be more confident. You should be more confident. You should really be more confident, Tom. And you'd think that would have fixed it? Didn't work, amazing, who'd have thought it? I was coming over from a gig recently and a guy stopped me and he went, mate, you need to really be more confident. You need to, put your head up, puff your chest out, because I'm not a mugger. But if I was, you'd be an easy target. Don't know if anyone else here has been a victim of a hypothetical monkey. Where they don't steal your possessions, just all your self-esteem now. So I always think I would be a really bad muggy though, because when someone says give us all your money, they're usually expecting more than £2.50. I've kind of got this image of them sort of walking me to an ATM and being like, right mate, I'm going to leave you with £0. And it's really nice then to clear my overdraft. But yeah, I think a lot of the way people from poorer backgrounds feel bad about themselves does come from, there's a lot of stigma. There's a stigma about the jobs you do, there's a stigma about the clothes you wear. Like 10 years ago when David Cameron said, oh, if someone wears a hoodie, they're probably going to stab you. That's not how clothes work, David. If I put this hoodie on a dog, it's not going to start packing heat, is it? Because do you know who wore a hoodie 40 years ago? E.T. Watched that film many times, he never mugs anyone. He does steal a bicycle. But that's just part of a heartwarming narrative, it's fine. And things like a gold chain, like if a middle-class person wears a gold chain, someone goes, that's so nice, so suave, so sophisticated. If a working-class person wears one, someone goes, bit tacky, mate, it's a bit cheap. How could it be cheap? It's literally made of gold. The only way it could be worth more would be if it was made of, I don't know, Bitcoin. Or Freddos. But yeah, there is this sort of attitude people have. Like when they also say things like, oh, if someone's poor, it's because you've not worked hard, mate. You've not worked hard. It's like, but people work fucking hard. And like when they say that, I'm sort of like, mate, Boris Johnson was a millionaire when he was a baby. Like, unless he was an exceptionally hard-working baby. In which case, that is a sitcom I want to watch. But I'm trying to sort of be more proud of my roots, more proud of where I'm coming from, because I don't want to be ashamed of the way I grew up or anything like that. I'm a big fan of things like rap and hip-hop. I'm a big fan of football as well. Any football fans in?
Yeah.
You again. Some people are like, yeah, but don't talk to me. You're like, right, let's do this, mate. I'm here and I want to join in. You right, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine, yeah.
Who do you support?
Rangers.
Oh, they're good. They kick the ball. They chase it, they kick it again.
Next question.
You're presuming I have a whole line of questions for you. That's kind of it, mate, I'll be honest. I'm not very good at the football banter. I'm not very good at it. I'm very much a type of football fan who's a bit like, I go to football and I'm a bit like, the referee's doing the best he can in difficult circumstances. And he looks good in those shorts. Round of applause for those shorts, everyone. No one joins in there, they never join. I liked football growing up because I mean I could talk to people from like my granddad's generation, because I feel like I can't talk to them about much else because I don't like cars and I'm not a sexist. Like they'll say things like, Tom, what's your favourite car? And I'll be like, I don't know, Brum. He's clearly the best one, he drives himself, you know. But there's a lot of problems with football, there's a lot of problems with things like homophobia, especially in the men's game. Things like, you know, it's not much problem in the women's game, but in the men's game there's not been a gay professional footballer for about 20 years, it's kind of really fucked up. And it'd be great if there was, you know, more gay footballers in the men's game, because you'd have a straight footballer being like, pass me the ball, and then another straight footballer would be like, pass me the ball, and then the gay footballer, they could be like, pass me the ball. Because I don't care for lazy stereotypes. It'd have to be a nice human, it'd have to be a nice footballer, because if it was someone like Wayne Rooney, I'd be like, no mate, you don't love men, you just don't respect women. You'd have to be a nice player like ex-Chelsea and Rangers player, Torre Andre Flo. He was going to beat me up, but now he's in love. I prefer Rangers to Celtic.
That's a good thing.
I'm taking an educated risk that there'd only be one Scottish fan in it. Otherwise that could have gone very fucking wrong. I remember when I once went to see football with my grandpa, and he's a big fan of Middlesbrough, and we went to see them. And one of the songs they sing is like, oh Borough, you're the best team that I've ever seen. They were 14th in Division 2 at the time. They had won one trophy in 140 years. They weren't even the best team that day, they lost 3-0. I tried to tell them, I tried to go, guys, this song's not accurate, but they weren't listening to me. Love and stuff. I kind of just want to talk to Rangers, man, but I know I can't. But yeah, I think yeah, it's weird when you look at when I look at the news and see coverage of things like a knife crime. I find it very strange that they very rarely actually make the link between crime and poverty in those cases, because there's a direct link. Like you very rarely see a posh drug dealer. Like someone who's a bit like, oh, excuse me, would one like some skeg? And when you hear someone in London's been stabbed, you never go, shit, the Queen's lost it. Maybe post-Brexit, maybe she will. Something to look forward to. But yeah, I think there is sort of there is a link between people, you know, crime and sort of growing up with not much money, because I think people with not much money, you've kind of got, A, you can be taken advantage of a lot easier, and B, you've got less to risk because you're, you know, already quite low down. Because I can remember a time when I was 20 and a guy came up to me after a gig and he was like, oh Tom, I'm a big fan of your writing, I think you're very good, you're a very good writer. Oh, well, I'd love to stay in touch and, you know, we could hang out. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, this is just a normal, nice man who's 20 years older than me who just wants to be friends. That's perfectly fine. And then 2 weeks later, he emailed me and went, "You should come to my house for a writing meeting, and we'll just, we'll just do some writing. I can help you get in touch with some agents and all that stuff, and I'll try and help you out." And I was like, "Oh, he's just a nice, normal, friendly bloke." He wasn't a friendly bloke; he was a weirdo. And it's weird when you get in that situation and someone goes, "You must have known what you were getting into when you went to that guy's house." It's like, no, I didn't really. Like, I've been to the houses of about 200 different comedians. I've shared beds with people in comedy, all sorts of things. I can count the number of people who have been inappropriate on that one creepy dickhead. Basically, what was happening, we were doing some writing. It was all going fine, right. That is how I write, I do say it. It helps motivate me to remember what I do. Constantly chunked out of libraries, I'm a nightmare. But yeah, we were just doing some writing, it was all going fine. I was like, okay, it's nice to have a contact to someone who's young in the industry. I was like, something about she wants to help, that's amazing. And then he turned to me after, during when we were writing and said, "Would you like to have sex?" Which I was like, "No mate, I'm busy writing." Like, he then asked, "Are you sure?" Which I don't know, I'm not a sex expert, but that's not foreplay, guys, I'll be honest. No one's ever going to go, "Well, when you put it like that, mate," put my pen away, no one's going to do that. And he said the thing which was the worst thing, which basically he said to me, "Okay, that's fine, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to be involved, you don't want anything to do with me sexually, that's perfectly fine. I fully respect you for that, I respect your choice, but would you be okay if I sat in the corner and wanked while looking at you?" Which is that's the kind of respect I like in a man, respecting my choice there. And in that moment, I just thought, like, that's all we need in comedy, another Louis C.K. tribute act. Interesting with the whole Louis C.K. thing, where people came out and they sort of said, like, "Oh, how can maybe Louis C.K. didn't know what they were uncomfortable. Maybe Louis C.K. didn't realise these people were unhappy. Maybe he just didn't realise they weren't enjoying it." It's like, mate, he's an observational comedian. Quite sure he observed what was happening. And then people sort of like, "Well, if you got that offer, you must have wanted it to happen." It's like, no, not really. Like, if I wanted to see someone I don't find attractive get themselves off, I'd watch any interview with Piers Morgan. But it was fine. I was like, "No, I don't want anything to do with you, please leave me alone." And he was like, "Okay, that's cool." And it was absolutely fine. Nothing happened, it was all right. It was all right until January 2013, which was when I was basically had my benefits stopped and I had no money. And this bloke had sent me an email saying Happy New Year, because he was a creep. To clarify, you can say Happy New Year and not be a creep. He just managed to nail it on the Venn diagram, doing both of them at once. And I was like, maybe this guy who's boasted about how much money he's got, boasted about how successful he is, maybe could actually finally help me out. So I sent him a message being like, "Hey, I've been fucked over by the government, by the system, maybe you could lend me 50 quid, maybe you could, give me some money, whatever, maybe you could help me out." To which he said, "Oh, I can't help you out, but if you have sex with me, I'll give you 200 quid.
Fine.
New Rangers man would come good. Unless you were calling me a cunt. Unbelievably cruel and poorly times. But I didn't do it. I didn't sleep with this guy. I didn't sleep with him. I didn't do it. But I was considering it. I was properly, seriously considering it in that moment of my life, that moment of my time, considering doing something that was reprehensible just for 200 quid, because that's what happens when you get vulnerable people who are on benefits and you take it away. You take away all any sort of independence of their life, any of their control over what they want to do, anything. You take it all away, and they turn to like desperate shit and to crime and horrible things because they've been pushed into this situation by the government. And that's why it's so fucking horrible how people are treated on benefits in this country. Really disgusting. And I'm really it's really lucky that I didn't do it, because I'm in a much better place now. Much better place now financially, emotionally, mentally. I'm all good now, don't worry. One of the main reasons is my girlfriend, who's a very wonderful, beautiful, intelligent, attractive woman. She's also the director of the show, and so I had to keep that bit in. I was like, "Liv, are you sure it's important for the narrative?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's the most important bit." Can't have those Tory voting Brexit people fancying you again. I mean, that's weird, because I don't really agree with people who vote Leave, but if they fancy me, that's completely twisted my view of someone who voted Leave. Just image of me going up to like some bloke who's 80 being like, wow, you want some of this. This is what you voted for, right? But yeah, my girlfriend's wonderful, I love her to bits. And she's someone who's really helped with my confidence. Like, she gives me a lot of compliments. She really helps me sort of believe in myself. I'm not very good at taking them. I'm not very good at, I don't like them. They freak me out. Like, once she said to me, "Tom, you have the most beautiful eyes." To which I panicked. I went, "I found them on the floor." How would I find my eyes without my eyes? And there was a time recently when she was picking me up from a gig, and because it was quite late at night, I bought some chips. And as she was driving me home, we accidentally crashed into another car, and sort of really big crash. It really damaged her car. The chips went everywhere. So completely wrote off the other car. It was really sort of quite a scary moment. And in that moment, I couldn't help but think, can I claim these chips back on the insurance? Because they were chips and cheese, guys. That's the moment. That's my favourite moment every time, because people are like, "Oh shit, it's got real." Pretty quick they cost me, unbelievable. I didn't claim it back, gutted. Yeah, my girlfriend's great. But I guess the main thing she's given me that I never had before is she's kind of given me a safety net. I never really had a safety net before in my life because my parents couldn't afford to give me one because they didn't have much money, and the government is supposed to give you one, but they've completely abandoned lots of people and completely let them down. So it's the first time I had a safety net. Like, this show wouldn't exist if she didn't lend me thousands of pounds to do it in Edinburgh. Like, this show wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be able to be an artist. I wouldn't be able to do whatever I want if I didn't have that safety net of her helping me out. And it's mental that for a working class person to either live comfortably or to work in the arts, you basically need to be dating someone who's richer than you. That's kind of mental to me. I kind of think that's really fucked up. So I wrote the show for a few reasons. One was to be like, oh, I was on benefits for over 3 years, but I'm not an idiot, I'm not stupid, I actually work very hard, and if you think people on benefits are stupid, then piss off, mate. But thanks for coming to the show. Thanks for coming, cheers for your money. But I also wanted to write it for my dad. I love my dad very much. I've mentioned him throughout the show. He's kind of sort of my main inspiration in many ways. And my dad's he's a very good man. He's always worked very hard. He's had jobs consistently since he was 12 until about 9 years ago when he had to take early retirement. Because basically, my dad was diagnosed with a form of lymphoma cancer, which means that they can control it, but they can't get rid of it. So he might live till he's like 80, but he's not going to have energy. He's not going to be fit to work. So he's fine. He's all right. He's there, but it means he can't work. And there's this horrible thing with this current situation where if someone is told by a doctor they're not fit to work, they then have to prove that to the job centre. Which, I mean, when did we stop trusting doctors, guys? Like, it's fucked up, because, like, you wouldn't do it with anything else. If someone said, I'm allergic to peanuts, you wouldn't go, prove it, mate, here's a Snickers. But it's shit, it's really, really been shit for my family the past 9 years, because we've kind of lost our main breadwinner, and it's been really difficult for us. And, I think so often people on benefits are just shown as numbers, whatever, but I kind of want to humanise it. But I know these are real people who are affected it, because it affected us in so many ways. Like, firstly, emotional way, but also financial. My dad, when he signed off for the first time, he got his pension in, so he got his pension early. He had 11 grand in the bank, and someone at the job centre told him, you need to get below 3 grand or you can't claim any benefits. And then 6 months later, someone said, oh no, sorry, that was a mistake. And then there's a thing where, people like to run around, some politicians saying austerity is over. But then this time last year, my mum's wages went up by 2p an hour at Boots, which is 96p a month, which led to our benefits going down by £22 a month. Oh. And it's that thing, it doesn't matter how good you are at maths, how good you are at saving, how hard you work, how much you budget, how much you do any of this shit. It's a system that's not trying to help you, it's a system that's punishing people, and it's really fucked up. And it's horrible, like, for me, because there's part of me that would love to move out. I'd love to get my own place, I'd love to move in with my girlfriend, that'd be amazing. But we were talking about moving out just yesterday, and I was like, I would first have to work out how much that would cost my parents, because whereas 20 years ago you can move out, it would save them money. Now, because of the bedroom tax, I'm worried about me wanting independence, costing my parents money, and that's fucked up. It's absolutely mental, and I hate it because people are like, wow, why is this allowed to happen? How can this be allowed to happen? I'm like, well, maybe it's because you voted for the Tory party, mate. Maybe that's crazy idea, but maybe there's a correlation between the party who've done it for the past 9 years and the party who are still going to do it. But I hate it because, like, I think the genuine issue with it, when you look at what politicians like Ian Duncan Smith, like Boris Johnson, when they talk about people on benefits, they look at the world in terms of the economy, in terms of what people pay in, and you get out what you pay in, all that thing. So whereas when I look at my dad as a beautiful, wonderful, lovely human man who has worked hard for the last 40 years just to help his family, to help people out, and is a wonderful, wonderful man who does everything, they just look at my dad and they just see someone who contributes zero. So they just see him as someone who's worthless. It's like, mate, my dad's not fucking worthless. My dad's not worthless at all. He's someone who at the age of 12, he got his first job to help look after his alcoholic dad and his siblings. He's the type of person who worked for 30 years to put food on the table for my mum, for me, my brother, for all of us. He's someone who never missed a day off. He's someone who used to volunteer at Beavers. He's someone that, even now he's got cancer, he still will go around. He'll pick up elderly people who take them to church because they can't get there otherwise. He's someone who's always worked his fucking arse off. And he's someone who people say, oh, people get ill and they just stop working. It's like, no, mate, no. Like, my dad, there was a time he came home, he sat down, put his high vis down, wiped the sweat off his brow. He was sweating twice as much as normal, and his hair was coming out because he went back to work a week after having chemotherapy. So if you think people on benefits are lazy, or don't work hard, or don't want to work, then you don't fucking know us. You don't fucking know us. It's horrible because, you know, as someone who's come from my background, to be doing a sold-out show at Soho, I should be ecstatic. I should be like, you've achieved a comedy dream, you've achieved a lifelong dream, it's amazing. I should be delighted with how my career's going. I am. I'm really happy with how my career's going, but I can't properly be happy with how my life's going because, like, the one thing I've always wanted to do is to give my parents a better life than what they had. It's like, fuck it, man. Happy endings don't happen to people like us. Guys, that was fun, wasn't it? God, drip of Brum, remember that? Brum, Brum, Brum. Oh, what does Rangers man think of all of it?
Buy you a pint in the bar later.
Thank you so much for coming to this show. I really do appreciate the fact that people have come to this. And yeah, I always want to do a bit at the end because I'm kind of aware it's a bit of a sad end. But I just, I get a bit sick of seeing like, a lot of middle-class comedians where their entire show is like, oh, I really struggled with not liking myself, and in the end is like, and it all worked out. What a lovely time. I've just seen Mickey Mouse do a fucking stand-up show with that kind of ending. Like, I don't want a Disney ending. I kind of prefer it to be a bit more like that. But thank you for supporting working-class comedians, because if you don't support us, in about 5 years, every comedian will just be talking about living in London and their therapist. One thing I wanted to do. Like yesterday, I got the audience to film a little video for my dad, and he really liked it. It made him cry. So basically, I did a video yesterday for my dad, but today I want to do a video for my mum, because I know the show's kind of about my dad, because he's not very well and he's kind of really struggled, but my mum's always been the rock behind her, for my dad, for me, for all my family. She's been a fucking legend who's there. So would she be okay to do a video just going, oh, she's good?
Yeah.
Action. Hello, I'm at the theatre. Who would have thought it? I snuck in. But I think my mum's a legend. What do you people think?
Hopefully your dad.
He gets enough attention, really. Yes, that was for you, Mum, but thank you for watching as well. Love you both. Look after yourselves. See you soon. But yeah, I guess one reason I wanted to do a little talky bit, because I wanted it to be a side into the show, because it's more me. But I know a lot of people sort of really struggled at the end of 2019, and they're sort of struggling knowing what's going to happen in the future, and if we're going to be alright, and all those things with all these sort of things going about. But I think, you know, as long as we always have like that sense of community, that sense of people sort of cheering and wishing on people you don't know well, we also have that sense of kindness, that sense of love, that sense of friendship, then we can all stick together and we'll all be alright. Thanks very much, take care.